So I was having a conversation with you the other day, Merce, and we were talking about the fact that, you have your little baby, he's growing, he's getting big, you keep carrying him all the time, and, he's getting heavier and heavier and heavier. And what did you say what's happening right now?
Yeah, so apparently my left shoulder has started to develop some issues. When he's a couple pounds, when he's a newborn, you don't really feel it. But now he's almost 22, 23 pounds. And I've gotten in the habit of putting him on my left shoulder. And so my left shoulder is starting to talk back and say, hey, we need to do something about this.
Yeah. And, you were telling me about that, and it made me think, oh man, I've not been to see my chiropractor doctor here a little bit because of COVID and everything. And it made me think we need to talk about this because, I think back pain, neck pain, all those different types of pains, they're difficult. And so I went out and I called my doctor, Dr. Prakash, and I said, hey, would you come on and talk to our audience? And I think it was a great interview.
Yeah, we covered a bunch of things, anything from mobility to immunity to just your overall posture and why you would ever think about visiting a chiropractor if you haven't already. I will tell you, I've never been to one, but now I'm considering it myself. So we've got a great episode in store for you today.
Now, you might think this is silly because we're going to give you a disclosure, but it's just something we have to do in our world. So, Merce, can you give us a disclosure?
Yeah. We're not talking anything financial, but I know you'd love to hear it. So the information contained in this podcast is intended to provide general information only and not to be considered individualized advice. Different types of investments carry different levels of risk. As always, please contact your financial professional for advice appropriate to your specific situation. Enjoy the show.
Well, we welcome you to our podcast today. Today, we're really focused on if you want to say it, I guess, body health, like, mobility. How do we feel better? And I brought on someone who I trust myself. I actually go to him. I've been, and he helped me quite a bit. I have some issues with my knees and lower back. And I walked in there and I talked to Dr. Prakash, and he's like, yeah, man, you're really jacked up. And so he started working on me. But thank you so much, Dr. Prakash. I really appreciate you coming on and talking with us today. I know our listeners are going to enjoy hearing from you.
You're welcome, man. Thank you guys for having me.
Good. So what we wanted to do today is kind of really talk a little bit about what you do, which is, a part of what you do anyway, is chiropractic care. And I know that over the years, people have kind of looked at it and say, well, is this really, real, or is it just kind of like things that people do? And then I think it's advanced over the years. So could you kind of let's just jump right in, and could you kind of give us kind of like what is modern chiropractic care and kind of like how you would describe what you do and how that benefits people?
Oh, yeah, totally. And first of all, I'm so excited to be a part of this because I did my homework as well on something called Peace of Mind Wealth Management. And thank you guys for having me. I got to say, I don't like calling myself a chiropractor. I'd rather call myself someone who's in the health management business. So if I could just give our listeners peace of mind for the next 20, 30 minutes, that would be amazing. Because chiropractic care for me, like I've been in this profession for 23 years. It chose me because my roommate's dad was a chiropractor, and all of a sudden he dropped it on me during Parents' Weekend back in the mid 90s, before MERS was born. So the thing about traditional chiropractic is like, hey man, you got a neck pain, you got a back pain, you got some type of ache, stiffness, you go to a chiropractor and they will fix you. And that is so true. It's been that way for 120 some years. But that first question you asked me, man, to me, it's not modern. For me, like, I don't want to just treat symptoms. I don't want to just mask the pain. I want to be a doctor of cause, right? Like if you go on my website, you'll see that, chiropractors is DC, but for me, that's not modern anymore. For me, it's got to be DC, has to stand for doctor of cause, figuring why people like Radon were jacked up. Now that was his words. I did not say that, or at least I don't think I did. But like, hey, look, man, we're the type of office that figures out what's causing your problems. Let's get to the underlying issues on why your knees, why your hips, why your back is hurting, why you've got high blood pressure. And then let's take it from there and create that lifestyle approach. So that's the modern style of chiropractic.
Gotcha. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. So from because you pointed out that I'm a little bit younger, I have been that mentality where I can just, I can work through the pain, whatever it is. I played a lot of sports growing up, so I've got some shoulder issues. And then I had last year, I had my first child. He was born back in March, so a true COVID baby, and not really knowing proper things body wise. It seems like I have kept him on my left side as I'm holding him. He's about to turn 1, and over time, over the past 8 months or so, I've noticed that my shoulder has really started to see some issues. So, and I've never been to a chiropractor. So as you're talking, as you're explaining things, talk to me like someone that's never been, because I'm sure some of our listeners have never been as well. But my question is, there's pros and cons to everything, right? There's pros and cons to being in the stock market. There's pros and cons to going to see your dentist. So talk to us a little bit about why or why not someone would go to a chiropractor, or the pros and cons around it.
Sure. And of course, now my answer to that is going to be just from my experience, but also having an office for 17 years in New York. We're in the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And now we've been in Raleigh, literally neighbors with you guys for just over, actually next month will be 4 years. So I've got a good amount of experience on what the pros and cons of our approach is. So I'm going to just share it from that lens. But before I go into that, like even, we talked about age, you just mentioned about age, and the listeners today might be in their 50s, 60s, 70s, or they might be focused on the prevention aspect, or they might be as young as you and I, or well, as young as you. The thing is, and this is where I kind of tie in with healthcare and wealth, it's mindset. Being healthy is a mindset first. Being wealthy is a mindset first. It is not about have, do, and be. It is about be, do, and have. And I know that's not your question, but I wanted to kind of go from that perspective, because it's not about age, right? And so our model, the pros of our approach is that, yes, you may have an issue that we will certainly address, because that's, let's face it, it's why you called our office and made the first appointment. But we want to not only just fix that issue, get to the problems or the cause of that issue, but focus on prevention, focus on the maintenance of health and not just the treatment of disease. And I think that's where we have got sucked into healthcare today. Isn't really healthcare, it's sick care, it's disease care. And we want to just fix people's issues, give them as much natural solutions, but then talk about, dude, how can we maintain this effort? How can we prevent it from happening again? Or if it does happen, because we're not Superman or Superwoman, let's make sure that we can mitigate the effects later down the road. So that's the biggest pro of going to today's modern style of chiropractors. The con is that, let's face it, man, not everyone wants a corrective approach. Not everyone wants to fix their problems. I mean, you guys get it all the time. There's people who want that quick fix. What is that high risk, high reward type of behavior? And to me, I'm in it for the long haul. And for some people, that is a con when they come to our office, because we talk about being in the relationship business, not just in the knee and back pain business. But that's really, a con from some people, is because, hey man, I just want pain relief. And we will certainly do that. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's about 5, maybe 10% of our population that comes to both of our offices where that's all they want. So, but yeah, the pro about it is that, man, you get to like take someone who's got an issue, whether it's from 8 months of carrying a baby like you, or dude, sports injuries, man, playing sports all your life. That wear and tear is reversible to some extent. Let's figure out how to do that.
Right. Yeah. I guess it's kind of, once you decide to fix something, whatever it is, it's almost like it's a lifestyle adjustment that you have to commit to, right? Because for my shoulder, I have a buddy that is a chiropractor. He sent me just some exercises to be doing, and that in their 10-minute exercises every night. But that's a commitment that I have not done well at. Let's just say that so far. But I've done it a few times. I know it works. I know the science works, but I just haven't committed to it yet. So I could see why someone would look at it as a con, but I think the pros far, far outweigh just based off of everything that you just said.
Yeah. And, they've got so many sayings about, an ounce of prevention and all those other sayings that, that it's so worth it now, because let's face it, when you're in your 30s, when you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, it's a lot more effort. It's a lot more time. It's a lot more energy. And yes, there's definitely more money involved trying to pay for all those mistakes that you've made. So why not just chip away at it now?
Well,
So
cool. So, you know, I know why I went to you originally, and it was a pain. I had a pain. My wife actually had gone to you first, and then she came back and said, "Hey, I think this is, beneficial and blah blah blah." And she wanted to handle this, and I said, "Well, I'll go too." And so I think that is possibly the deciding factor. But so let's just ask it. Why should somebody say, let me go into this? And you said it earlier, health management. Why should somebody think about that? Or what would be the steps to motivate somebody to kind of say, maybe I need to look at this as a way of dealing with my health?
yeah, well, that's perfect. Yeah, and I loved it when your wife came in because she was pretty much your doorman, right? In business, we call that the doorman principle. I mean, she basically vetted me, vetted the services, vetted the people, and said, "Okay, I think my husband can go in." She was like the guinea pig, so I do remember that. When it comes to like, on the surface, people say like, "Hey, I got neck pain, I got back pain, and that's why I'm here." I'm like, "Nah, dude, it's not." Keep digging in and you realize that, yeah, I can't play with my grandkids, I can't golf anymore, or when I work out I'm down for days, when I cut the lawn it hurts me. So it's not the neck or the back or the hip and the shoulder, it's the fact that it's starting to affect their daily living, right? It's the quality of life. So that's really why people make an appointment. But the thing is, when they come to our office, and we can talk about that later too, about what a first visit is like, I've got to dive into what their wants are, because some people don't want, I want to fix this problem. It's rare, but I do ask them like, hey, is this something you want relief from, or is this something you want to fix? Right? That's the difference between relief versus corrective care. And then we've got our approach, which is like, not only do we fix the problem, but we want to maintain it. We want to focus on prevention. You can, whatever marketing word people want to use, wellness, maintenance, prevention, call it whatever. The thing about our office is that we're always integrative. We're always looking at the body as a whole. So, if Murs complains about his left shoulder, we're still going to look at his right shoulder. We're still going to look at his hips, his knees, feet. They're all attached, right? We can't just look at him as a part. We got to look at the whole, right? It's the same way you guys look at financial management, man. It's not just one thing. It's looking at the big picture, but not today, tomorrow, and even generations from now.
Right. Yeah. So we've talked in general about, what chiropractic is, why someone would want to go and everything like that. But let's get a little bit more specific, because the majority of our listeners are in that 55 plus category. And so you've got a lot of things that happen as you're aging, and you know better than we do. So what are some of the more common things that you're treating for that age group? Some of the more common reasons why someone is coming in to see you?
Yeah, yeah, and I did this morning just to see if the answers were different on Dr. Google. But if you put in, hey, what's the top expected benefits for chiropractic for seniors? It's got the list, and I wrote it down here. It's got neck pain, back pain, headache, stiffness, and then decreased consumption of drugs. That's the expected, like you should pretty much expect this when you go to a chiropractor. But my favorite is if you go to the bottom of the first page, then it's like, all right, what are the unexpected benefits for seniors? And this is the part that I love, because this is the stuff that I see every day in my office and my New York doctors do. And check out the unexpected top benefits, right? Immunity boosting, digestion, breathing, reducing blood pressure, improving your sleep, and and just breathing, opening up your airways and reducing asthma. So that's pretty much the top 10 benefits why people come to us. When it comes to our approach, and if you guys don't mind, would you mind if I share this really cool slide?
No, go ahead.
Yeah. So for us, it is when people don't take care of their health, especially in the elderly population, and this is, I'll send these images to you so you guys can put it on your page. But we've got a lot of medicated people in this country, man. Like we've got, what does it say? Like 70% of the people are taking 13 or 14 different medications per year. Adverse drug events or adverse drug reactions has gone through the roof in this country. And I don't mean to bash medicines, but we've got an issue where we're not treating the problem. We're just giving things to address the symptoms. And then let's look at surgeries. I mean, just in the last 30 years, surgeries have gone up by over 137%. The rate of spinal surgery, all those things have gone through the roof, and the side effects, the success rates. This was the last slide that I had about just height loss, right? And there's a lot of height loss going on which is also causing people a lot of different problems. Our approach has always been two things with seniors, but let's face it, everyone that comes in our office, we got to keep your posture on point, and we've got to keep your flexibility. Those would be my top two things out of all the things you want to improve in your healthcare. Get your alignment right and get your flexibility right. So that way you have less stiffness.
So when you say that about posture, I mean, it's an obvious, we all grow up, most of us, with a mom or a dad going, stand up straight, so, we think about that. And then whenever we're talking about it, I find myself trying to sit straighter because you're talking about it. So I start thinking about it and I start holding myself more, in a proper way, at least trying my best. But I think a lot of times, our society has moved into this position of sitting most of our day. We're behind a computer, and it doesn't matter. Whether we're a senior or a younger person or whatever. I mean, my son is 18, my daughter's 15, and they're sitting like this all the time. And I'm acting like I'm holding a phone right now. I'm hunched over, holding a phone. And I think that the next generation that we have coming right now, because of video games and phones, are going to even be worse than what we are, because they're always in that position. I'm constantly looking at them going, son, sit up, hold it up, and at least hold the device up or something, because you're so hunched over right now, and you're only 18. It's by the time you're 50 or 60, it's going to be horrible. So could you just talk to us a little bit about why posture is so important?
Yeah, man. We in the 90s, the tagline was always posture is the window to your spine. And it basically said, hey, if you want to take a look at how healthy the curves are in your spine, because they're supposed to be curves, they're not supposed to be like nice and straight, you look at people's posture. And now, like you said, when you were told by your parents and your grandparents, hey, sit up straight, that was that worked in last century. We could do that. But now, when you've got technology in your face, in your hand, and you're looking at it 10, 12, 16 hours a day, depending on your career, depending on if you're virtual learning or homeschooled, that's hard to do. And so getting a sit-stand desk is huge. Getting a ball to sit on, or just taking breaks and walking around is going to be, it's got to be integral. And when you said that, that could cause problems when your kids are 50 and 60, you don't say could, it will cause problems, because I'm seeing it now. When I get kids in here that are up in their teens, they've got, if you look at their side view, they're doing this, and that's their normal now. That's not good, man. Because now when they get on their phone, now they're putting even more pressure on their spine. And a lot of times people think that poor posture just causes neck and back pain. Dude, when you're a 12-year-old, you don't have those sensory receptors that say ow, right? Those don't develop till you're later in life, until finally it's now really tight and you've got other issues that go with it. So I've actually got another cool slide, if you guys don't mind. Do you mind if I share another cool thing?
Go ahead.
Okay.
If anybody's listening, by the way, we try to describe the slide, but we'll be able to have these if you wanted to see it, but we'll describe what's on the screen.
Yeah, I've got this really cool slide, and I always show people just what happens when you've got poor posture. Let me share this.
Yeah, while you're pulling that up, I think posture has become a hot topic. I mean, the sit stand desk. So we have those in our office, and it makes a world of a difference, just being able to stand up for 30, 40 minutes a day while you're working. And then what I've seen that is pretty neat is technology around posture. And I think it's more of just a reminder. So I've seen these things on Instagram where you kind of tape it to your back and it buzzes every minute or two just to remind you to, sit up straight or whatever. So I think the world is going that way, but yeah, I think there are a lot of issues ahead.
Look at this thing from the American Journal of Pain Management. Super awesome quote. Says posture affects and moderates every physiological function, from breathing to hormonal production. And when you start getting, whether you're older or not, when you get men or women with hyperkyphosis, meaning they have that bump, right? You know how people who don't like the, hey man, I got this bump that's developing in my upper back. Dude, that now has been researched, and this is the Journal of the American Geriatric Society, that it can actually create more death and more mortality and morbidity rates. And then the last slide was just talking about the relationship of posture and blood pressure. This is from the Journal of Neuroscience, and it literally says that when your neck muscles get tight from your head going far forward, that pressure that builds up at the base of your skull, man, it affects the nerves, and it causes a lot of issues where it can cause high blood pressure. And Radon and Mers, when you start seeing that with kids, man, that's not fun. That's not good. And that's why we try to focus and teach people, hey, get your kids in here.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. So posture, yes, is very important right now in the world that we live in for the past year, where we're in this COVID scenario still, and we thought it wasn't going to last this long. Immunity is a big deal right now. You know, what can I do to make sure I'm in the best position if I am to contract it or whatever, just staying relatively healthy. What are the things out there? So I know you do something a little different. What are you doing in your practice that, you know, helps boost immunity and the different things around that?
Yeah, that's a good question. And let's face it, immunity has been the number one topic in the last almost a year now. And it's funny because if you look at the research, even if you Google chiropractic immunity, that's been going around since the 60s and 70s. They've been researching what happens when you get your neck adjusted and how that improves parasympathetic activity. It causes your fight or flight to go down. It decreases cortisol, which is your number one stress hormone. So there's always been benefits of chiropractic care and immune boosting. But the biggest part about it, like right now, if you're in pain or if you're stiff and if you've got inflammation, right? So those are the three things that lower your immune response automatically, right? Yes, there's emotional things like if you're worried, you have fear, you have anxiety, which let's face it, a lot of people do right now. So you've got to do things that help reduce your stress, help improve or reduce your stiffness, and improve or get your body less inflamed. So adjustments help. In our office, we have 4 amazing medical massage therapists in the North Carolina office. We have a couple in our New York office. And I was telling this to Radon last week, we started doing IV therapy when COVID really took the world. And so in April of last year, we decided like, hey, there are people who really need a jump start, a boost in their immunity. Let's create a high dose vitamin C, glutathione and antioxidants. Let's put trace minerals. Let's put B vitamins for energy and fatigue. And let's really get them flowing in your blood. And when you take IV in your blood, you're bypassing the digestive system. So now you're absorbing it right away. And Mers, that's one of the best things we've done since April of last year, started offering immune boosting IV therapy.
And that's not like a prescription or anything for that. That's you can do that without any kind of, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to. I mean, there are places around the country that have popped up that have provided what's called a hangover cocktail or hydration. And if you kind of look at their ingredients and then you look at what we do for hydration and hangover, I mean, it's a no-brainer. We're giving people so much more electrolytes, trace minerals, all the B vitamins. You don't need a prescription. We have a medical provider here. We've got a physician assistant who administers that, does all the medical clearance. For some people who want like that punch of the high dose vitamin C, there is a blood test that we have to get to them just to make sure that they can clear that. So,
okay,
cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I tell you, every time I have a conversation with you, you start thinking about it and you go, well, it just makes sense. But there is a little bit of a time investment, to go down and to do this on a regular basis. It's, I do know that going into your office though, for, it's not an extreme amount of time. You go in there, you're in and out within, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes if you're going in for an adjustment and a couple little things there. But could you kind of just walk us through, let's say somebody's listening to this and they're thinking, maybe I do want to explore this idea. Could you kind of walk us through kind of the steps? I come into your office, I set an appointment, I come in. Can you walk us through what that first appointment looks like and what you're going to do?
Sure. Yeah. And here's one of my favorite books was by Jim Collins. It was From Good to Great. And one of the things he hit really hard in that is that always have an experience or a service that you deliver that's deliberate and it's expected on every single visit. We don't do that on your initial visit. And that's the thing that we really pride ourselves on, is that every single person's first visit in our office is completely customized and individualized, because there are some people, and if you go to our website, you'll see that there's, man, this guy's got like 8 to 10 different services. I don't know where to start. That's the best way, is to just schedule a consultation with me, because A, I never charge to speak with me, and B, I can help figure out, like, okay, here's the issues you've got going on with your health. Here's your health and family history. Here's your goals and where you want to be. Here's where I think you should start. And we've got so many different types of exams now. Our basic exam is looking at those two things, the posture and flexibility, but then we might do a fitness exam. We may do comprehensive labs and blood work, so that way you meet with our nutritionist. We now have, our medical provider that does orthopedic. He's got an experience with sports medicine. So there's so many different exams that we offer, but it's completely dependent on what that new person's needs are and what their wants are. So yeah, we've got some people that come in for quick in and out adjustments, that, like you said, 5-10 minutes. There's some people that come in for an hour or two, depending if they're getting massage, or if they're getting therapeutic stretching, or if they're getting rehab. Then if you're getting an IV, sometimes that's 30 minutes. Sometimes it could be up to an hour. It really depends, man. That's the beauty of our office, is that it's very, very specific to each patient.
Cool.
Gotcha. Well, thanks for sharing that process, and thanks for being on here today with us. I know I've learned a lot, and I've always been one to kind of work through the pain, but I know at some point your age just can't do that anymore, and that's where I think I'm at. I think a lot of people out there have always had questions about whether or not they should visit a chiropractor. So thanks for clearing some of that stuff up for us, and this was great.
Cool. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, and I've got, I think you guys will probably put the website on there, but it's.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was going to ask you, could you share with everybody, how would they get in contact you? What is your website? What is the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Website is always the best. It's livingwellbalancednc.com. I've got, you can make an appointment from that website. You can also call the office, 919-926-8890. There's so many different ways to reach us, but the website is good. We've got our Facebook also, Living Well Balanced NC, Instagram, all those different ways. I'm never on social media, but I know my employees are. So
yeah, and by the way, we have people listening all over the country right now. So is it pretty much the same thing for New York? It's just NY at the end?
Yep. Yeah. Actually, New York is no symbols. It's just livingwellbalanced.com.
Okay. Very good.
And then even the best way to do is just kind of schedule a consult. It can be virtual. Obviously, I prefer face-to-face, but even for the listeners that are obviously not in the Raleigh area, anything I can set up virtually just to have a conversation, get your feet wet with what we can do, or how, even if I have to refer you to other friends and colleagues of mine throughout the country that have similar models, I'd be happy to do that.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate you spending some time with us today. I know it was great and beneficial for all of our listeners.
Thanks, man. Thanks, guys, for having me.